How do you come up with ideas? For me, the central thing is questions. It's asking smart questions, good questions. All right, so we're on to part 3 now. In part 1, we talked about base. What's your concept? What are you trying to accomplish? The essential question, what do you want your audience to experience? So for me, I want everything to center in music, the shared experience of music, the way it brings people joy, how it activates emotion. I want them to be excited. I want them to be inspired. I want them to feel loved. We're going to tie all that stuff together. Then we go to, okay, what's your structure for delivering that, right? I talked about these different methods that I can see that exist in the field, but I'm leaning toward what I like to do, what I think I'm good at, is this improv troupe model. How do you take a bunch of people off the street, make them into an improv troupe, use the hypnosis to bring out their creativity, right? But I also said, more than I ever have before, I want to keep getting the audience more involved, right? So now we're saying, how do we do all that through the shared experience of music? And then I'm going to mix my group and individuals. I still think you have to mix them both. So we get to phase 3 of this creative process, which is really just ideas. How do you come up with ideas? For me, the central thing is questions. It's asking smart questions, good questions. So I'll talk to you in another video about how I have found that AI is helping me big time now. I can start with my kind of framework questions, and then I bring those questions to AI, and what AI is giving me is just so helpful for accelerating the creative process. But let's get into those ideas. I'll make a little note for myself here. Music, right? The key thing for me is that this show has to be centered around music. So then I naturally think, okay, from what I've already said, what are shared experiences? If you're going to be able to bring a show venue to venue to venue and have different types, this is where, again, the semantics can get tricky. Different types of audiences to some extent, but like, they're all kind of different, but they're all kind of the same. Like for me, I operate in the college market. So campus to campus to campus, the audiences are different, but they're also all essential demographic of mostly 18 to 22-year-olds, men and women. There tends to be like some real common stuff, but then every campus has like kind of its own personality or its own personality, really. So how do I make a show where I can appeal to ideally every audience that I'm in front of in that college market? And then how would I adjust my show if I got booked for a corporate event or a high school event, or if I got asked to perform at a fair? What I want to do eventually is get to that level, but I got to start first. And I start with the idea that I'm trying to draw strength from is that music is something that's universally loved and appreciated. So what are the shared experiences around music? Well, so there are sort of ceremonial. There's ceremonial uses of music. There's weddings, birthdays, graduations, funerals. You think you can't do anything about funerals, but you never know, maybe you can somehow. Any kind of sick or ceremonial thing often has some application of music. So that's one possibility, and I maybe can come up with more after. Cultural, right? There's this big cultural element of music. So I could start trying to generate ideas or bits for my show based on cultural elements. So let's say different ages have their own culture, right? So I could look at what music is specific to certain age demographics. I could look at ethnicity. I'm trying to just brainstorm at first. I could look at nation. I could look at region. I could look at What else? Cultural. I don't know, you get the gist of it. That's enough of that. I'll keep going with it. But so there are ceremonial, there's cultural. Oh, you know what? I would put with it sports. Sports has its own culture, right? And you think about it, like, you don't go to a football game or a hockey game or a basketball game or a baseball game these days without music being played repeatedly throughout the game, the event. So there could be elements there of how music gets used. More intimate. What's more intimate than this, you guys? Relationships? Yeah, let's say that. Let's say, what are the ways that people directly connect music to the relationships in their lives, right? So, like weddings, right? Like weddings. Again, I'm going to put just because keep the flow going. Birthdays. When you're at someone's birthday party and you have a relationship with someone, that's kind of too close. Weddings, birthdays, special, romance. Just let's say romantic relationships in general. Romance. What else? Well, again, 3 is good for me trying to demonstrate this. In fact, I don't want to stretch this video any longer because you're sitting here watching it. So this right off, right? So I'm thinking about how do I use this really broad idea of music to start giving me themes. First, this is really only the first, again, really broad theme, shared experiences. I want the people on stage who are volunteering to be able to easily tap into the stuff that I'm building, and so one of the easiest ways to do that is going to be to play on shared experiences. Stay away from things which are so individualized that there's a risk that the person I choose is like, I don't know what that is, or I don't get it, basically. So shared experiences for them and shared experiences for the audience. You want the audience to be activated by tapping into the shared experience, whether it's any of these things. Again, you've seen it and heard it. So that's the first thing, and then that drills. So what I hope you can see is I'm starting broad, and then I'm drilling a little deeper. And it's still broad though. And then I drill a little deeper, and then I drill a little deeper. And so what you're doing, you're starting with the broad concept that you have an instinct around, and then you drill down on it and see if there's more there. And you drill down on it and you see if there's more there. And you drill down on it and see if there's more there. And then hopefully you get to a point where there's a level of detail that you go, okay, now I could start thinking about, yeah, what do I do with that in terms of actually building something? So that's this video. Shorter than the others, because I think this is what happens. This whole process of me documenting for you, right, is we're starting from really, really broad, and then we're drilling down, and as we drill down, you get quicker to an action step. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to go into, I'll make another video, I'm going to show you what I'm doing more all the time now. I'm taking this kind of stuff, and I'm plugging it into a learning language model, AI generator, and I'm getting faster and many more ideas based on these initial ideas that I have. I'm letting the AI get me further, and I'll show you that next.